I know that this time of year, social gatherings tend to pick up, and with it, usually potlucks. So save this episode to refer back to when you are tasked with bringing something fabulous to share, but don't want to feed everyone garbage ingredient, pumpkin-shaped cookies in a plastic box from the grocery store. Don't be that girl. So in this episode, it's going to run a little bit differently. I'm actually going to give you step-by-step ingredients and instructions for making 3 of my favorite dishes. So if you're not driving, grab a pen and paper and let's go. Do you struggle to stay consistent with healthy eating and just want food decisions to be easy, guilt-free, and sustainable? You're in the right place. Hi, I'm Chelsea, nutritionist and fitness coach who overcame restrictive yo-yo dieting and body image insecurities using simple nutrition tools, all backed by biblical principles. And now I help women like you find that same freedom with food so you can feel confident in the look and health of your body for decades to come. I'm ready to dive in with you. So grab that cute notebook you've been hanging on to and let's go. The holiday season is officially upon us, and while for some, that's the most magical, wonderful time of the year, for others, it brings an influx of stress and anxiety, whether it's meeting Q4 deadlines at work, visiting difficult family, or navigating all the food and treats at multiple parties over the course of these 2 months. It can be a lot to handle. Listen, my friend, I want to help. We are made to do life together, not try and stay strong in solitude. That's why I'm offering my one-on-one nutrition coaching calls throughout the holidays to give you support and an actual step-by-step game plan so you don't have to white-knuckle your way through the season and fall 10 steps backwards with your health. Simply head to coachrain.com/dietfree to book your 1-hour coaching session with me. And let's take one major stressor off your plate this holiday season. No pun intended. Again, that's coachrain.com/dietfree to book your 1-hour coaching call with me. I can hardly wait to support you. It's that time of year. The air is getting a little bit more crisp, leaves are starting to change colors, and the desire for all the cozy fall dishes ramps up. It's sweater weather, y'all, and regardless of if you are Team Pumpkin or Team Apple, or neither for that matter, I decided this would be the perfect opportunity to give you a few of my favorite fall-inspired recipes that are totally health-forward, easy to make, and are delicious. I know that this time of year, social gatherings tend to pick up, and with it, usually potlucks. So save this episode to refer back to when you are tasked with bringing something fabulous to share, but don't want to feed everyone garbage ingredient, pumpkin-shaped cookies in a plastic box from the grocery store. Don't be that girl. So in this episode, it's going to run a little bit differently. I'm actually going to give you step-by-step ingredients and instructions for making 3 of my favorite dishes. So if you're not driving, grab a pen and paper and let's go. The first thing I'll start with is my all-time favorite harvest salad with a delightful pumpkin maple vinaigrette. Don't let all the words scare you. This is seriously so simple. And I have witnessed family who usually refuses to eat salad actually enjoy this one. Here's exactly what you will need. Depending on the size of the party and the amount of people you're feeding, about 4 cups of greens. I personally like to use dino kale, not to be confused with curly kale, but it's that darker green, kind of looks like dinosaur skin kale. But I've also shredded Brussels sprouts or used just regular spring mix in a pinch. Then you'll need 1 cup of roasted squash. My favorite is butternut squash because I cut it into bite-sized cubes and it can hold its shape fairly well even after it's been cooked. But acorn squash can also work. It'll just be a little bit more mashed in texture. I would roast these ahead of time so it has time to cool down. You can do that simply by tossing it in some cooking oil and sprinkle some cinnamon, maybe a little bit of salt, and bake it at 350 Fahrenheit until the edges start to brown. Then we need half a cup of fruit. This can be apple slices for kind of a crunchy texture, or pomegranate seeds for a little bit of that zingy flavor burst. Even dried cranberries will totally work here. Next is half a cup of nuts. These can be raw or roasted. My personal favorite for this recipe are raw pecans. So a little recap, the base of the salad is going to have 4 cups of greens, 1 cup of roasted squash, half a cup of fruit, half a cup of nuts. You with me so far? As for the pumpkin maple vinaigrette, this is where the magic happens. You will need a 1/4 cup of pumpkin puree, not to be confused with pumpkin pie puree. We're talking straight up mashed pumpkin. A 1/4 cup of apple cider vinegar, 2 tablespoons of maple syrup, 1 teaspoon of Dijon mustard. This one is optional, but you can also add a medium clove of garlic, finely minced. And then for our seasonings, a pinch of salt, a pinch of black pepper. Optional, add some fresh thyme leaves, about 1.5 tablespoons, finely chopped, plus a half a cup of extra virgin olive oil, kind of the basis of the entire salad dressing. An optional tablespoon of water if you want to thin it out a little bit more. Put all of the ingredients into a jar with a tight-fitting lid and shake, 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 baby, until everything is incorporated into one smooth texture. If the oil stays divided, you're not done shaking yet. Keep going. Then put everything in a bowl except for the fruit and drizzle the dressing over top. Totally okay if you have some leftover. We can put that in the fridge for later. But then toss all of the salad ingredients with the dressing to coat it all evenly, and then add the fruit on top with a light little toss just before serving. We don't want all of the fruit bits to sink to the bottom. Now, if you're paying attention, you'll notice that's not a complete diamond meal. This recipe is really designed to be a side dish to a main entree, but if you want to make it for your lunches to bring to work or whatever, just add protein. I love shredded chicken thighs in this one, so let me just give you the recipe for that. Recipe number 2, apple baked chicken. I think it was during my year as Miss Iowa that I discovered how delicious sweet proteins can be rather than just savory. It was a concept I had never thought of before, but once I tried it, I was hooked. So for this recipe, you will need 4 to 5 chicken thighs, depending again on how many people you're feeding. And this can either be bone-in, skin-on, or boneless chicken thighs. The only real difference is the amount of time that you bake it for. If you plan to just shred the chicken afterwards and use it in the salad, go ahead with the skinless. It's a lot easier that way. If you plan to make this for its own entree, I definitely recommend using the bone-in, skin-on version. For seasonings, you will need salt, pepper, and about half a tablespoon of ground cinnamon. Then you'll need about 2 tablespoons of cooking oil. I suggest grass-fed butter or ghee. 1 medium onion sliced. 1 cup of apple cider, and I mean the juice, not the vinegar. Half a cup of chicken stock. 1 tablespoon of dried thyme. 2 medium apples, cored and sliced. A 1/4 cup of coconut cream, not the milk, but that thick creamy part. And 1 tablespoon of tapioca flour. And if you don't have that, cornstarch will work just fine. All right, to make it, start by preheating your oven to 350 Fahrenheit and season both sides of the chicken thighs with the salt, pepper, and cinnamon. Heat up your cooking oil in an oven-safe pan if possible, and brown them on both sides. If they've got skins on, that's about 4 minutes each side. If they are skinless, about 2 to 3 each side. And then set them aside on a separate plate. We're going to use that same pan with all of the delicious juices you just created and add the sliced onions until they are just starting to brown. Then pour in the apple cider and the chicken stock, scraping the bottom of the pan to loosen any brown bits. That's the tasty part. And then stir in thyme and let it simmer until the onions are really soft. This should take about 4 to 5 minutes. Then you can turn the heat off. Next step, add the chicken back to that skillet, spoon some sauce over the top so it's all covered, and then scatter the apple slices around the chicken. Cover the pan and bake it in the preheated oven for 15 minutes if using the bone-in, for 10 minutes if you're using boneless. A special note here, if you don't have an oven-safe skillet or a Dutch oven, simply transfer the skillet mixture into a casserole dish. All right, after the 10 or 15 minutes of baking everything, remove the dish from the oven, transfer the chicken to a plate. You can cover it to keep it warm, but then combine the cream and the starch, either your tapioca starch or your cornstarch, whatever you have, in a separate bowl, whisking out any clumps. And then gradually add it into the baking dish with the onions and the apples and the stock. Once that's all mixed up, return the chicken to the baking dish, and we're gonna bake it again, this time uncovered, until the chicken is cooked through. That would be an internal temp of 165 Fahrenheit if you use a meat thermometer. I typically just remove a piece and make a stab in the thickest part to see if the juices run clear. That's what we want. This will likely take between 10 to 15 minutes again, depending on the size of your chicken thighs. And then serve this with the sauce and the apples. It makes great leftovers. If you try this one, please send me an email to let me know. I am so sure you will be delightfully surprised by the culinary experience as a whole. And of course, I can't leave you without a fall dessert, especially one that actually has nutritional benefit. So recipe number 3 is one of my go-to high-protein pumpkin bread recipes. Here's what you'll need. 1 cup of pumpkin puree, 2 eggs, 1/3 cup of plain Greek yogurt, 2 to 3 tablespoons of pure maple syrup. You can add more to taste. 2 tablespoons of nut butter. Great options here are almond butter, peanut butter, cashew butter. They all work wonderfully. 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. 1.5 cups of flour. I personally like using blanched almond flour in this recipe, but whole wheat flour works. And here's the fun part, 1/2 cup of protein powder. My forever favorite protein is by Equip Foods, and I use either their unflavored or their vanilla protein for this recipe. And I actually have an affiliate code if you wanted to get a discount on Equip Foods Prime Protein Powder. I swear by it. I've used it for years. Just head to equipfoods.com/Coach Rain and you'll get a discount on your first order. I'll put the link in the show notes, but if you want to check that out, that's equipfoods.com/COACHREIGN. You're also going to need 2 teaspoons of baking powder, a pinch of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice, which is optional, you don't need to include that, and also optional would be a 1/4 cup of chocolate chips. All right, here are the directions. Start by preheating your oven to 340 degrees Fahrenheit. Yes, I said 340. And then I like to line my loaf pan with parchment paper, but you can also grease it with oil so it doesn't stick. Next, we're gonna mix the wet ingredients in a large bowl. So that's the pumpkin puree, eggs, Greek yogurt, maple syrup, nut butter, and vanilla extract. Whisk it all until it's smooth. In a separate bowl, we are going to combine all of the dry ingredients. So that would be the flour, the protein powder, the pumpkin spice if you're using it, salt, and baking powder. Once those are evenly combined, add this to the wet ingredients bowl. Stir it all to combine, being careful not to overmix, especially with the protein powder in there. If you're using chocolate chips, now's the time to gently fold those in. But then we're going to pour the batter into the loaf pan and bake it for about 30 to 40 minutes. You can check it with the toothpick trick. So if you stick a toothpick in the middle and it comes out clean, it's done. I also like to watch for it pulling away from the edges ever so slightly. Then you want to let the bread cool in the pan before transferring it to a wire rack to cool completely. Oh man, now I want to go make a loaf for myself. That just sounds so delicious. I hope you feel inspired by one of these recipes as we embark on seasonal change. If you could use some further support on exact methods of cooking and baking, ingredient choice, and generally answering all your kitchen questions, that's exactly what I do inside of my one-on-one nutrition coaching calls. In fact, I just had a conversation with a client this past week about how to make a breakfast skillet, something she had never tried before, but wanted to expand her horizons from the daily oatmeal and honey routine. I'm here to guide you through every step of your journey in becoming fully confident in fueling your body. You can get started by going to coachrain.com/dietfree to set up your 1-hour coaching call with me. I pray this episode was helpful to you, my friend. If so, could you do me a massive favor and take 30 seconds to write a review? This is the best way to bless me big and help more people learn just how simple eating healthy consistently can be. And if you want more value-packed info from me, head to coachrain.com and sign up for the Weekly Harvest, my weekly emails filled with recipes, how to use food as medicine, biblical nutrition, and more. That's coachreign.com for the Weekly Harvest. Blessings until next time, sis. Toodles.